watching Thrifty Kaniffy. Hello everyone and welcome to Thrifty Kaniffy. Well, today we're going to be taking a look at a knife from Ontario Knife Company. Now, Ontario Knife Company's been around since 1889. They're out of Franklinville, New York. And sadly, they've just closed their doors back in August. Sold to Blue Ridge Knives, a wholesaler who bought their trademark and also their remaining inventory. So all the knives that are coming out of the Franklinville plant are going to be no more once all that inventory is sold. No one seems to be picking up the brains from the Franklinville plant. I don't believe that any of the tooling is being bought or the facilities, so could be the last that we see of Old Hickory knives. But we've got a really interesting piece here to talk about today. This is the Old Hickory outdoor slip joint folder. Of course, this was made in Franklinville, New York. I guess intended to be something of a survival or hunting knife. This is model number 7022. And what we're looking at is their slip joint folder. Now you've got a pattern design that's like a trapper, and it's just a single blade. And we've got 1075 carbon steel on the blade. This laminated walnut handle with brass pins and brass liners. You can see that the fit and finish is pretty good. Not any gapping or anything like that. You have a little bit of recess there at the front where the spring goes in, but once you open the blade, that is nice and flush. So I think it was sort of designed that way. Now again, you get something of a trapper style pattern here, but with just a single blade. And this appears to me to be like a spear point, but they're calling it a drop point in the advertising. Got a nail hole instead of a nail nick, that goes all the way through. You can see the blue all the way through the hole there, so that's not some sort of a optical illusion. It does go all the way through the blade. Now, with these being 1075 carbon steel, they will rust, so you can either do a controlled patina on it or just oil it frequently. But you can see the blade edge on there is pretty consistent. Looks pretty good on both sides. Pretty happy with that. Feels nice and sharp. Good point on it. There is no tang stamp on this particular knife, so no information about anything on it other than just the handle having the Old Hickory name stamped into it. And you can see, I believe that's kind of how they've done that, whatever process they've used. But it looks good. Nice clean lettering. And then the R trademark. Now the interior of the knife, when it was new, had some pretty edginess to the brass liners on the interior there, and a little uncomfortable to squeeze. So I've rolled those over. Took maybe 2 or 3 minutes, literally just a quick rubbing on the inside of the liner on both sides. Brings that brass to a rolled edge, and then you can have a nice, smooth, comfortable grip. A little bit edginess on the front of the tang. I haven't bothered with that, so it's still a little edgy up here at the top, but that's not something that bugs me. It's not where I typically put my fingers, so not really an issue, but you could roll that over if that was something you wanted to do. A little bit edgy on the elbow there too. You could roll that. Again, it's all kind of depend on where your level of concern is for the sharper parts of the knife, but yeah, I'm not too concerned about either of those places. But yes, very good fit and finish. You can see there's no gaps, and any of the recessed spring there is pretty much gone when you open the blade. Makes it nice and smooth there, so that's not really a problem. And I think that the nice satin finish with the plain edge on there is really nice. Just a flat grind. You can see the profile there. Pretty good, decent blade stock, and doesn't taper off too quickly until you get about right here, about 3/4 of an inch to the tip. But yeah, it looks like a really solid blade edge on there. The pull on it is fantastic. I would say that this definitely rivals like one of those English Barlows that I have from like Taylor Eyewitness or Arthur Wright and Son. So the half stop position is about 8.5, and then to the full position another 8.5. And you can see the incredible snap on that. Now I've closed this several times, not had any problem with the blade wrap or anything like that, so I'm not really concerned about closing it gently. But you do have a very strong close and very positive lockup, and that is not going anywhere. So very confident in use for this particular knife. And I don't know, what hunting tasks that it wouldn't perform necessarily, but there might be better blades for that. I don't know, if you're trying to be delicate with the way that you're skinning a larger animal, but you could definitely get a lot of the heavy use done. So I can see this as being a outdoor knife as they recommend on the packaging, but I can see this also being just a general user. We have a medium slip here that we can see how that fits in there. Well, it pretty much doesn't, so I wouldn't use a medium slip. Don't have well, let's see, we've got a large slip here. Let's take a peek at that. Rough Rider slip fits in there just fine. So yeah, you definitely want to use a large Rough Rider slip with this particular knife. Just a little thicker than your ordinary knife, but that gives you a nice purchase. So that's comfortable in the hand, and you get a good 4-finger grip plus on there, no problem. And putting my thumb up there, like I say, there's still a lot of confidence in using the knife. No finger choil or anything like that at the front. You're going to go straight onto the blade if you do that. So yeah, keep your grip back here. But again, really strong pull, so confident in use. Probably not the best knife if you have, dexterity issues, something like that, as this is a pretty hard pull. But you do get a pretty good grip on that nail hole because of the way that the handle dips down there. And so they've designed that really well with where you want to grab that. You have a little more purchase there with that little dip in the handle. So that makes for an easy open style blade. But again, the pull about 8.5. It's definitely not the easiest of knives to open or close, but I'm kind of used to that, having used the Taylorite Witness Barlows quite a bit. And I don't know, you just kind of get used to it the more you do it. But overall, I think this is a fantastic knife. Another thing I want to say about this particular knife, they made this late into their production. This knife didn't come out until like August of last year, so there just wasn't a ton of these made, because by the time the following year came along, they were selling the company. So there couldn't be just a tremendous number of these made over the course of a year, I wouldn't imagine. I don't know how well they sold. You can see the blade centering again. That's really well done as well. It's pretty much perfect. But yeah, I don't think that they probably made just a ton of these. So might be one of those, if you're kind of waiting around to pick up some different knives that from Old Hickory, that this might be one of the earlier ones that you buy, because I just don't know what the production numbers could have been in the course of a year. But again, another thing is special about this knife. It's the only slip joint that they ever made in-house. Now, they had some OEM slip joints that they made, regular traditional patterns. I know for one, they made a Barlow, probably a Stockman, and some others. But this was their only in-house slip joint that they ever made. And again, only started, they announced this in January of 22, but I don't think they ever really were for sale until about August of that year. So yeah, only been around just over a year. Now, they haven't sold out anywhere I've looked, but I wouldn't wait around too long if this is something you're interested in. Let's take a measure of the blade. Again, the handle was 3 3/4 inches. The blade is just under 3 inches. We'll call that 2 7/8, and then you got a cutting edge just shy of 2 3/4 inches. So it should have no problem being UK legal. Measures under there in total length, so no problem under that 3-inch required measurement. And again, just 3 3/4 inches on the handle length. So yeah, it fits right in that Goldilocks zone for me, right in that size that I like. Again, you can put this in a Rough Rider large slip, or just carry it as it is. You know, you might scratch up the hand a little bit, but that laminated wood is pretty tough. Saw another review of a knife. He had a surface crack on his knife, and it was still holding together. So these are pretty tough, and I don't think you're going to have too much problem if they get beat up a little bit. Now, I wouldn't go intentionally dropping it or anything like that, but I think they'll be pretty durable. And one thing I know about these carbon blades is when they do get a patina on them, they do look pretty darn nice. Now, I've oiled this up, so I don't expect that to be a problem for me, but when they do patina, you just want to make sure that you either clean them up and get them oiled up, or just allow that natural patina to take place, and then you don't really have to worry about it anymore. But keep the good rust and get rid of the bad rust. That's going to do it for my review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, the model number is 7022, the Old Hickory Slipjoint folder. We will see you next time. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell, and be made aware of videos when they drop. We'll see you next time. Take care.